Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup, yo. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup, yo. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup, yo. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup, yo.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
A guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin to lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to PSGL. We're here this evening for another round of the fabulous F5 Championship. My name is Evan. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. And of course, as you can see alongside me to that side, it is the fabulous Mr. Snowboard Extraordinaire. It is Timon Den Blank. And Timon, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I didn't know we were doing F5. Did we get the
Did I say F5?
You did say F5.
It's been 4 seasons since I commented. 4 seasons since I commented F5. This is PSGL F2. We've not been demoted to F5. Well, just yet. Maybe we will after this evening. But no, this is PSGL F2. It's a pleasure to have you back with us, ladies and gentlemen, for hopefully another fabulous round this evening. Let's get straight into the swing of things then, shall we? Let's take a look at your PSGL F2 Championship standings. It is, of course, NLO Youth who is at the top of the order. He leads by 11 points, which is a small enough margin, but also quite healthy in PSGL terms. Then it is Ormateo in second, followed by Zorzo in third, Covers in fourth with Danielle in fifth position. Then it is Ian Van Unen ahead of Diogo Silva, Dirk Fede, and then it is Johan in 10th position. Timon, we had a really interesting race last week in Austria. It was, of course, Diogo Silva that actually took the win, but it was an interesting race from a championship perspective. Covers didn't manage to take the win, but he sort of brought himself back into the fight here.
Yeah, the long-awaited win from Covers. I mean, he was like many people said and tipped him for a race win or a title charge, and finally he stepped up to that and won a race and fully put himself back in the championship.
No, he didn't win a race, Timon. He came second.
Oh yeah, oh mate,
PSGL F5.
PSGL F5. Let's go. No, but what I was gonna say is that Austria last week is somewhat similar to Monza. Of course, the main thing that we talk about Monza is the turn 4 car in qualifying, but it's still Austria, a track where many DRS and many overtaking opportunities are possible. And yeah, Austria and Monza are just very similar in that. So I won't be surprised if we somewhat see the same outcome. Monza, though, strategy-wise, for me, it's always one of the interesting ones because it does allow you to, hopefully, for some drivers, drive away early on. We've seen it in other tiers on PC where drivers who are fully at the front start on the soft tires and then absolutely fly away. So I'm interested to see if that will happen here and how early on this race may be decided.
Yeah, and also another thing is turn 1 is usually pretty chaos as well, so we'll have to wait and see for that. It's usually rather chaotic. But let's take a look briefly at your track map for this evening. It is, of course, the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, the circuit that is located north of Milan. Except for 1980, the Italian Grand Prix has always been hosted here since 1949, and then of course Formula 1 in 1950. But this is a fabulous circuit. This is iconic. It is 5.793 kilometers, 3.599 miles. It's got only 11 corners, but 11 mighty ones at that. 4 to the left and 7 to the right. That record here was set by Rubens Barrichello in that famous Ferrari, a 121.046. Is the race lap record here around Monza. We'll be getting much quicker than that here this evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's about 84% full throttle. It is nicknamed the Temple of Speed for a reason. The track itself here, of course, resides on the ground of the Royal Villa of Monza, and this places it in a unique position beside the Lambro River. But you're here for race cars, and that's enough of the track fun facts. You are here for race cars, ladies and gentlemen. And now we are going to head to the on-track action here at Monza, and qualifying has just begun for another round of PSGL. Timon, you're way more in the know than me. What sort of lap times are we going to be looking for here? Oh, I think he's just left the server. Okay, so Timon's no longer in the know more than me because there's no one else here than me. It's going to be a 0.2 pole is what the drivers themselves are predicting. I think is that an 18.2 or a 17.2? This is what we need to Timon for. But it was Dirk who said he did a 0.1 in practice. He's going to look to do a 0.2 in the session. Timon, are you back with us?
Of course I am.
Oh yeah, I forgot you had to... Yeah, that's my bad. Timon is running on botched setup. He has to change room.
No, you can't hate on the setup.
No, I don't. I certainly don't.
I've got my PC in one room, and in the other room I have my PlayStation, and I do not have anything to really easily just walk, put it across, and I can't be asked to. I can't be asked. I don't have the electricity inputs to put my PlayStation in the other room, so I guess we have to do it this way. But now we are preparing ourselves for the qualifying session, and seemingly the first man who is going to start his lap time is TF10 Dirk. We have seen him before be the first one to do a lap, and he is going for it again this time round. Coming up towards turn number 1. It is of course going to be a very heavy braking point, one of the heaviest braking zones that you will be seeing on this track. And then you want to get a good exit there out of turn 2, because you don't want to hit the yellow inside curve, because it jumps up your car quite a bit, and it's not something that you really would like to see. Coming up towards turn number 4 and 5, because of course you have that little bend off turn number 3, and now turn 4. It's a corner we've all talked about. You want to cut as much as the inside as possible, and turn 5. You can really cut both of them very nicely, and you gain a lot of time from those. Dig didn't really go for it on his first lap time. Did a little bit of a banker lap time coming through both of the last ones now, turn 6 and turn 7 again. It seems like it is just going to be a good outlap from Dirk. Now through turn number 8 up towards Ascari. A beautiful combination of corners where you want to keep as much momentum through as possible. Want to use a little bit of the right hand side there. Dig doesn't really use that much of it, but does cut it nicely. But a little bit too much cut actually, because he invalidates a lap because of it. But let's just stick on board with him to see him finish the end of the lap. Passing a few lap cars, you'll see that quite often here. And then coming up towards Parabolica. Want to hit the inside nice and go on early throttle as you want. Not too early, because you saw what happens then in F3 IRL. Because then you get launched up into the air. But Dirk abandons his lap time, goes in towards pit lane. But that was a quick hot lap of Monza.
Yeah, great hot lap there as we see IRT Phil go quickest, 1:19.5. Time, and I was having a brief discussion about the pole lap. I heard it was going to be a 0.2. Is that an 18.2? I presume it's an 18.2, not a 17.2.
It would be an 18, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah, you know a lot more than me. Apologies, folks, if it seems a little bit stretched on your screen. I had a little bit of a fix of that. I hope it's helped it somewhat. I'm not too sure what happened with my OBS, but if someone wants to help me figure that out, check the commentators chat on Discord. But Danielle is currently quickest here in qualifying. Danielle, of course, the Italian. What a fairy tale it would be if he could take a win here in Monza this evening. Zorzo goes to third. I think Danielle or a Ferrari would be fairy tale here this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, your F3 champion here in the big stage in F2 already has a race win this season. He won the Las Vegas Grand Prix around the Las Vegas streets, but we will wait and see what he can do here this evening. Here comes covers, though, heading in, as Matteo goes quickest. That is P1 for Matteo. Matteo is Italian as well, of course. It'd be magical if he was able to take a win, but here comes covers across the start-finish line. That's good enough for third. Top three really close here. It's Will Murdoch as well for AlphaTauri with a decent lap there in fourth position. Championship lead in youth is at a snail's pace, heading through the Parabolica, or the Curva Alboreto, as it is now officially known as, but we're always going to know it as Parabolica. 17 drivers here this evening. We have 14 laps on the board in the very early stages. That's not bad going.
It certainly is not a lot of invalidations, but the risk, of course, being inside Ascari and, of course, turn number 4, because you got it as much at the inside as possible, and I don't think we will be speaking about it a lot more in the race. But the issue with it is you want to drive over that orange curve, but it can launch your car in a very different way. It has many different options of what will happen to it. But if you got it perfectly, hit the exact right angle, you can fully cut the inside and gain like 2/10 on it. And 2/10 on a track like Monza is absolutely massive. The question will be, how much will certain drivers cut it? Currently, we haven't really seen anyone fully go for it. But it is nice to see the field so close towards each other. Of course, the pole lap currently being 18.505 by Armateo. And then you got Skyline in P10, who's got a 0.7. So it's all great to see everyone so close to each other. It's also great to see a return of Will Murdoch, of course, the Olympian himself, doing good stuff here in PSGL F2. But the biggest surprise maybe from the first run of qualifying, Enel Knuth, no lap time.
Yeah, no lap time from Youth this time round. Will Murdoch, of course, is not just an Olympian now, he's also a Gran Turismo World Series driver. Unfortunately, him and his Lamborghini team in the Manufacturers' Championship had a lot of bad luck, and they were punted off into oblivion at turn 1 of the Nürburgring. And unfortunately, yeah, they were sent to the Shadow Room, and then there was an absolute ridiculous stewards decision on the back of it, but it's not really our place to talk for that. If you do want to see more talk about Gran Turismo 7, though, you can check out our GT7 tier, which races on Tuesdays. They have the Fezza Fest, which is Scuderia Ferraris, so make sure to check out that. Dirk, 26-1 in the first sector, doesn't go for that little turn 4 cut. That's a big talking point here, Thyman. Because it's such, or well, so I'm seeing on Twitter and Discord, it's such RNG that could decide who takes pole here this evening, and maybe even who wins the race.
Definitely. Like I said, I tried to explain it a little bit beforehand, but that curb, it's just, if you hit it well, you get the good bounce. If you don't hit it well, you get unlucky and you just lose a whole lot of time. But let's go on board with TSN Dirk, because he is currently on our lap. Currently a little bit sharp maybe on the turns in Ascari, but now coming up towards Parabolica. Meanwhile, we saw a big jump up the field there. I believe it was Max going from no lap time to P11, so not as big as a jump as we would have maybe expected, but he does slot right in with everyone else. Dirk now coming towards the line, having to run a very short line and not cut too much of the inside, and he jumps up towards P11 as well, so it's somewhat matching the lap time that Max drove previously, but it is all still very close towards each other. Waiting now for more and more laps to settle, but like we said, turn 4, big talking point. It is a little bit RNG. It's not like any of the bounces. We have had many bounces where your car gets launched into the air because of lines, the arrest lines or other stuff. We've seen many glitches this game, let's just put it this way, but this is just something consistent, and I know the PC drivers tried to put their way around it by changing the FPS of the game, which actually made their car a little bit higher. So it does give them a more of an advantage. But eventually you had drivers running like 50 or 40 FPS, and it just became dangerous only to cut that corner a little bit better. So that just shows how important it really is to gain time in that corner, because it can really make or break your session. But let's go on board with Jacob Konias now, because he is the next driver to go for a lap time here through turns 1 and 2. Want to keep it smooth here, and I do believe you want to see as low of a point on the sector splits possible coming up towards now that sector 1. So let's see actually how good it really is. You got a Mercedes going a little bit slow, but he does not really impede him. 26.1, so it is a solid sector 1 time from Jacob Konias, but I do believe he can go even quicker, a little bit on the gravel there, and he did avoid turn 4 curb there. So taking it safe again, Jacob Konias trying to go for it through the Lesmans there. Want to keep as much momentum, especially through this one, because you got a long straight up ahead, and that's not what you want to see there. Big slide from Jacob Konias. Does deploy the arrest on, but I do believe that will be the end of his lap, and he does somewhat yield off throttle there. So that is all that of Jacob Konias done.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Jacob Conius, wasn't able to get a proper lap on the board. I do apologise if your stream is not in the highest quality, folks. I think that's a YouTube issue more than anything. I'm been trying to manage it a little bit here, but it's certainly not an OBS issue. We're getting some great readings in the broadcast booth. But back to the racing action. It is Mateo heading down towards turn one. Oh, take a look at this. Will is back and he means business. 1:18.4. Incredible lap from Will Murdoch. We think Pole is certainly going to be quicker than that, but that's still a great lap from the AlphaTauri, to put himself quicker. 7 minutes and 10 to go in qualifying. The top 10 are separated by just over 3.5 tenths of a second. Incredibly close so far here in PSGL. Matteo improving in that first sector. And no, he's not going to be improving now. There's a huge slide off the Varante della Roggia. And he's going to have to abandon that one. Very disappointing there for Matteo. Let's see what Danielle can do. Is he able to even maybe take to the front row of the grid? Maybe even snatch that provisional pole position off Will Murdoch. Hangs it to the right-hand side. Let's see what Danielle can do across the start-finish line. Oh, it's evens. It's dead even with Will Murdoch. I think it's going to be about 1,000 of a second behind when we go deeper into it. But Danielle, second position, and even with Will Murdoch. Goes to show how close these guys are really at covers. Also making a similar mistake to Matteo, I believe. Ian Van Unen, however, was on an absolute flyer. He's heading through the Ascari chicane and towards the Curva Parabolica. Let's see what he can do heading in towards the final corner of this magnificent circuit. It's been an interesting qualifying so far. We've got yellow flags in every sector now, seemingly. Oh, Ian Van Unen was up by 2 tenths of a second, has a huge snap, has to save the car, hits the gravel. Van Unen abandons what was looking like an absolute beauty of a flyer lap. Goes to show how close the margins are here at Monza.
Yeah, definitely. I do have two things to say, though. Will Murdoch did have a small slipstream at the end because of IRT Phil's car going in towards the pit lane. So on the whole back straight out of Ascari and onto the big main straight himself, he did have a little bit of a slipstream. And secondly, on my screen, there's a 10th or 1,000 of a second difference. Will Murdoch being on a 407 and Danielle on a 408.
Yeah, that's what it's coming up evens when you have the gaps, but it's usually a 1,000 of a second difference. So that's why Danielle is behind. But even if it was evens, Danielle will be behind because the protocol in Formula 1 is whoever sets it first goes ahead. But doesn't really matter how even it is. It's still Will Murdoch ahead. Max van der Geest as well is going on another hot lap, very heavy in towards turn number 1, which is probably one of the bigger overtaking opportunities here in Monza. You can sort of dive it down towards turn number 3, the Varante della Roggia, and you can maybe sneak a wheel up the inside into Ascari. It's a bit of a risky one, and I'm not sure we'll see it much here this evening, or maybe we will, because these guys are all risk takers. But there's that line we're talking about for Max van der Geest. You try to minimise the corner. You want to, like, theoretically, these guys want to cut every corner on the Formula 1 calendar. So when the game sort of lets you semi-cut one, they're going to take advantage of it wholeheartedly. And Max van der Geest doing it on that run, so it'll be interesting to see what his middle sector shapes up to be compared to the rest of the field. And it's marginally up, coming up as purple, but I wouldn't believe that for a second. But still, this is a decent lap here from Max van der Geest, and certainly the improvements he has could jump him up a few places because it's so close here this evening. We've got 17 drivers, 16 of them are almost within a half a second of each other. Zane just slightly outside of that margin, and Phil then I think he can go much quicker here this evening. Max van der Geest hangs it to the inside, but I believe he's back down to that one actually, so it doesn't feel like he's got enough improvement in that. He's going to head back to the pits, stick on a fresh set of boots, refuel the car a little bit, and then get on his merry way. Phil is improving by 3 tenths of a second in the first sector, so definitely an indication that this Alpine driver can go much quicker.
Yeah, it's certainly coming through Curva del Serraglio now, which is one of the corners I didn't know existed because somehow that is a corner. But now coming up towards Ascari, it is 5.5 tenths improvement, which is certainly an improvement that Phil needs, but still very far off the ideal pace that he wants to be at. Currently, that would only put himself, I don't even think he will gain a position from it. So from P17 towards P17, but a lot can still happen through Curva Parabolica now, trying to nail that apex absolutely in the inside and go on the throttle as soon as you possibly can. Coming up towards the line again, keeping it very tight there. Don't keep it too tight, I can tell from experience, because I have certainly got the inside of the white line once there and got an invalidation. But we don't really talk about that anymore. But yeah, 3 minutes ago, Phil unable to set a lap time after this because he will be unable to make it into the pit lane in time. And the first person out on his out lap is Govers. He brought himself back in for a title charge, getting P2 last time round. He is now the first man out on track and looking to prove himself. Is Covers able to take that pole position? Will Murdoch remain on that fastest lap time, or will we see a surprise pole? Maybe even get Knut back on pole. Who knows?
Newt will be the first man to admit he's not great at qualifying, but I think he's a little bit better than 12th, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do. In the words of a famous, well, not really famous, but in the words of a Man United fan, second half of the season, Covers is going on a title charge, and he wants to win this PSGL F2 Championship. Will Murdoch is saying in the stream chat, "I'm back," in all capitals. Wouldn't it be absolutely fantastic if we could see Will Murdoch take a race win? Although it will be a bittersweet for Ferrari if Will was to take pole and take the win here this evening, because of course he started this season as a Ferrari driver. He was replaced by Jacob Konius, so Ferrari, maybe it's another strategical disaster class from Will. He had his seat taken off him because he was practicing for that Gran Turismo event we were talking about earlier. In terms of PSGL Gran Turismo, it is the Porsche Fest, not the Fezza Fest. Apologies, the Fezza Fest has been and gone, I think. It is the Porsche Fest, so it is the famous German manufacturer that is featured over there on Tuesday evenings. But another famous German manufacturer, that is OP Covers, who is building up to go for one final hot lap of the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, and he has a deficit to make up if he wants to take another pole position this season. Max has a 5-place grid penalty, and that'll be an indication of a restart, so we will have a bit of discussion post-qualifying. But here we go then, let's let the chaos begin. The slipstream shenanigans down the main and back straight. Covers is going to ignore it all and just go for a blistering lap of the Temple of Speed, exiting the Varante del Rettifilio and in towards the Curva Grande, the right-hander here, where you can go 2 abreast, sometimes 3 abreast if you're feeling risky on that certain occasion, as Diogo Silva also picks up a 5-place grid penalty. Covers not finding time, so he's going to have to take the ultimate risks, heading through the Varante della Roggia and then upshifting as he heads towards the 2 Lesmo curves. 5th gear through here, wants to maximise traction on the exit of the corner, and then you want to fling it through this next right-hander. Covers not maybe pushing the limits as much as others. This is conserved, but also precise from the Dutchman. He is a precise driver, and he is one that can pump in a good lap at the end of qualifying, but he needs to find a little bit more, and this is going to be risk versus reward, and the reward is no longer available because the risk has gone too high. Covers invalidates his final qualifying run here in PSGL. The shootout begins between the rest of them. Of course, remember, Covers started his lap earlier. We are just going to reach 0 now, so checkered flag is out. No more laps can start after this one. Danielle is finding enough time. The pressure has been put on Will Murdoch, and no, Danielle runs wide. Has he bottled it? Is it invalid? No, keeps it here. But that might be under investigation from the stewards. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think he's going to back out from this one yet. So here comes Danielle in towards the Curva Alboreto, named after Mikel Alboreto. Let's see what he can do coming towards the start-finish line. Skyline goes fourth, second row of the grid for the McLaren. Here comes Danielle. No, he actually lost too much time. Will Murdoch has invalidated his lap time as well. Or Matteo, the Italian, has a chance to make history here. Oh, look at that! Newt goes quickest. 1:18.3 for Newt. Can Matteo beat it across the line? He can! The Italian's on pole in Monza. Matteo sets the Italian crowd into raptures because he is on pole in his own backyard. Can Fede maybe beat it in the Alfa Romeo? This would be stunning if he could do it from 12th. Fede across the line. It's only good enough for 6th. Diogo Silva into the pit lane. Newt, the championship leader, had his first pole of the season for a moment, but Matteo had a flyer in the final sector and was able to steal it at the death. A fantastic end to the session here in Monza. I think Timon has gone to swap setups, but a brilliant end. Matteo takes pole for the Italian Grand Prix. Fantastic result for him. Newt then in second. He'll line up in the front row. Look how close the top 4 are. 0.040 separating or Matteo and Danielle. What an Italian Grand Prix we are going to have. Vas Bremer in the comments saying Matteo cooked that last sector. He absolutely did. That was a stunning final sector here in Monza. But that is your qualifying results. It is Matteo who starts from pole position here for his home Grand Prix. It is then Newt, Will, Danielle, Skyline, Fede, Zorzo, Ian, Tales, Max, Johan, then it is Covers, Diogo, Zane. As we take a look down, and it is Jacob Conius, Dirk, and Phil. Folks, we're going to go for a quick commercial break before we have a little bit of a post-quality rundown while everything is getting set up. So once again, a quick word from our title sponsors, GT and Mega. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to, Commentator's Corner here, because we have another restart due to some grid penalties. But what a qualifying. What a fabulous end to qualifying. The Italian of Matteo starts on pole, Timon. He has got Newton alongside him, the two championship protagonists on the front row in towards turn 1 at Monza. This could be dramatic.
Yeah, it certainly could be, but I do not think we're going to get all that much drama from the front two. I think they both want to play it safe, think about the championship, and move on from that moment. Let's just hope that Will doesn't do any of the Gran Turismo frantics that we see often there. Maybe send someone to the Shadow Realm. Let's hope it stays all clean for there. But also, we got another Italian. Like, we got 3 Italians in the top 6. We got Daniele and Fede, of course, all performing very, very nicely. We got one Italian slowly hanging behind a little bit, which is Zane with only 3.5 tenths behind, so it's certainly not all that bad. I love the fact that I jokingly said, "Oh, maybe Knut football." I mean, who knows? Knowing exactly that Knut is not the greatest at qualifying, he would say it himself as well. And then he puts it at P2, only 22 thousandths of a second slower than Matteo. So I think we certainly are in for a good race. But like I said previously, for me it's going to be interesting. Is either Matteo or Knut going to take the gamble of starting on the soft tire, trying to gap the whole field by 1 second, and just controlling the race from that moment onwards? We've seen the strategy happen before. Will it happen today again?
Will it happen today? That is a big question. Let's take a look briefly at your championship standings. So certainly I'll keep them on screen while we are talking, just for another few moments while everything gets set up in the lobby. Jerry Van Buddle asking me to rap. No, this is the broadcast that I'm professional on. If you're interested in how the chaos went in the restart lobby, Dirk actually won the race and picked up a 10-second penalty, so fair play to him for doing that. But let us know your thoughts so far on qualifying and ahead of the race in the stream chat below. Bass, of course, giving his thoughts, saying Matteo cooked in the last sector, and we also did a pole prediction. 37% said Covers for pole position, and rather interestingly, for probably one of the first times this season, Timon, Covers is not starting in the top 10. He starts 12th.
Yeah, Covers, unfortunately, due to his invalidation, starting a little bit further back. But Covers has proved multiple times that he is able to work his way through a field. And definitely at a track like Monza, where we can expect chaos, I do expect it to happen. Ian Van Uden as well is someone who I do expect to just fly back to the field. He's incredibly quick. We know how what he can do. And again, he himself making 2 big mistakes in qualifying, one which cost him his second qualifying run fully, and the other one which just lost him a lot of time in the final run. So I think he's going to fly through the field as well. We've seen Sorzo do many comeback drives as well. Diogo Silva obviously won last week's race. This whole field is so stacked. I do believe truly everything can happen here. And it's always going to be interesting to see what happens. Will Murdoch saying that his qualifying was interesting, but that he's the biggest race merchant that there is, and that we should be watching out for him. He claims that he had an average qualifying position of P20 before coming into this.
Yeah, Will is traditionally known for a brave overtake, good race pace, and then usually making other drivers rage quit the league. But forget that last one. He's very much known for race pace, and Will Murdoch is a big factor here in this one, because he usually doesn't qualify as high up as he said himself, as you said, Timon. So it'll be very interesting to see him in this race. Let's take another look at your track quickly. Where's the big overtaking opportunities here, Simon?
Pretty much everywhere. I will not lie. Watching a few of the PC races, every corner pretty much, like every real corner is an overtaking opportunity. Into turn one, you got a long straight where you can break in with a very heavy braking point. If you get a good exit out of turn two, you can send it up the inside of turn four. If there's some drama in turn 4 and 5, you can go up the inside of turn 6. And then in front of Ascari, you got another DRS where you can go for it. And of course, in Parabolica, it is a very wide entry. You can send it there as well. So there's so many possibilities for overtaking. The only downside of things are that it is most likely going to be a long DRS train with everyone having the same exact conditions. But due to the restart, you will be seeing drivers run a little bit of lower wings. So maybe a few more overtaking possibilities due to that. But overtaking wise, we should not complain.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good race, overtaking wise. I think it is going to be an absolutely fabulous one. Just one more talking point then. It's going to be a full dry race time. And if we look at strategy, what's your expert opinion on that?
A few things can happen. Hards are not a terrible tire around here, nor are the mediums. Medium wise, you can just run those tires for a long time. And like I said, you'll see either drivers start on medium softs or hards. Everything can really happen here. All strategies are pretty much liable. But if someone at the front starts on softs, just expect that they're gonna drive away. And I see, by the way, in the chat, just interrupt here, they either want rapping or twister, and a choice needs to happen.
Is this what my career has come to? Is this what my career has come to? I'm known for board games and rapping. I commentate like 4 times a week. You think that's what I'd be known for, but no. It is twister and rapping. Maybe before we go to commercial, but we will wait and see. But just while we are still talking about the event here, I have one more question for you, Timon. I think let's get it out of the way so you can have a little bit more of a discussion about it.
Oh.
Who takes the win for this one?
This is at this point it's turned into bullying because you ask the question every single time.
I do.
Last time round I said Covers and he got second. So this time I'll say Ian. He's starting from P8. I'm expecting him to make some big gains. So let's see what happens. But what do you predict?
I think one of the Italians is going to do it. I think Danielle could win this one.
Possible, certainly possible. I mean, Danielle shown some good pace, but don't forget Amateo's an Italian.
He is. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to get ready to go for the race soon. Here at Monza, not quite as sunny as Santa Ponza. Matteo on pole, Newt behind him. Brake early for turn 1. You'll be put in a spin. Don't hit your teammate or you'll be a snake. Folks, we'll be back after this commercial break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Monza. We are here for the Italian Grand Prix. Are you all happy now? You made me rap. Are you happy now? But here in Monza, of course, it can be a quick race. It can be a long one. 2003's race at Monza was the shortest race in history to complete full race distance. Michael Schumacher won after just 74 minutes. 74 minutes is very long for a PSGL race other than F1, so I hope we don't get that here this evening. Temple of Speed, of course, as well. This should be a fun one. 4, 5, red lights, and we go racing here in Italy. That's a very good start for the man on the inside of the grid. Newt gets a flyer away. Will Murdoch tucked into the slipstream of Matteo. Down towards turn number 1. Murdoch to the outside. Newt on the inside. They all break early. Want to make sure that there is no carnage here at the first corner. Newt has lost the position. Will Murdoch is up to second here at the Italian Grand Prix. Further down the field, bit of movement involving 2 Red Bulls. Max van der Geest and Johan both trying to fight. Ian Van Unen, bit of side-by-side action as well with covers. One of our championship protagonists in this championship, breaking for the chicane for the first time. Almost the Mercedes into the back of the Red Bull there. That was Covers into the back of Johan, and you can see Covers has got a horrible exit because of it. Zane gets the position. The 2 Williamses side-by-side here. Diogo Silva and Tales now side-by-side. The Portugueseman and the Brazilian. It's the Portugueseman. Last week's race winner who comes out on top, of course. Will Murdoch tucked into the slipstream of the Aston Martin at the front. And quite importantly here, Timon, top 7 all starting on the hard tyres.
Yeah, indeed, no soft tyres at the front of the field. We're going to see Max try to make some big gains, and Johan and Phil starting on the medium tyres, certainly going to be on an interesting strategy as well, so I'm looking really forward towards that. Max van der Geest already making a move up the inside of Parabolica. Like I said, he can nearly overtake everywhere, but going back for the switch back there is Fede, trying to go back up towards the inside, but Max using a little bit more ERS. He is more likely to burn early on, but there is the move for the lead that we were expecting. Will Murdoch going up the inside towards Amateo, side by side going in towards the corner, but the inside is all for Will Murdoch. Going later on the braking, and also they're taking that position, letting go of the brakes a little bit so he can go straight on. But it's 3 wide back there. Skyline, Curve, and Danielle fully side by side. Diogo Silva gets an instant 3-second time penalty as well, but we have to look at that at a later moment. It's still 3 wide going up towards turn number 4. Have to see who comes out on top there, but it seems to be that it is Skyline versus Knuf only there. Still side by side, keeping it very clean and respectable between the 2 of each other, giving each other so much room, more than enough. And Skyline, though, goes up ahead and goes and to take that position from our championship leader, and the top 2 meanwhile has capped the rest of the field with more than 1 second.
Yeah, top 2 flying here. Murdoch and Matteo both doing an absolutely excellent job. But this is all hell breaks loose here. Back here, Newt was probably put in a position he didn't necessarily want to be in as the championship leader. Now Zorzo trying the outside of Danielle. Max van der Geest on the soft tire as well, cutting through the field slowly here. And you can see Danielle all over the place, heading through the Ascari chicane. Max van der Geest now tucks into the slipstream of the Mercedes. Zorzo actually falling behind the Red Bull. Maybe a little bit of a tactical approach there. He knows that it's going to be do or die for Max on this stint, so he wants to try and get past at the first occasion. Swap for the race leader, Evan Mateo comes to the outside of Will Murdoch. This is going to be similar quarters to what we saw last week in Austria, where the first stint is going to be a lot of swapping and changing for the race lead necessarily. Here comes Newt, though, going to the inside of the McLaren of Skyline, breaking for the first corner. Good move that by Newt. The German is up and ahead of the McLaren, and you can see the Red Bull of Max van der Geest actually bumping the Italian of Danielle. The home crowd here will not like that one necessarily, as Max van der Geest does have to cede position. Maybe a sportsman-like conduct there for Max, or maybe he just didn't get the traction. We'll have to wait and see. Up the front, 1/10 separate the top 2. This is a crazy race start here. We're only 3 laps the better of it. This is a flying, action-packed beginning here in Monza. It's very quick laps, of course. It's very quick racing action, and a lot of quick changing positions. Let's put the positional change up on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. It is 1 position for Will Murdoch, but your biggest gainer, there's 3 of them. Max van der Geest, Dirk, and Phil, all up 4. Biggest loser, that was Tales, who's down 6.
Yeah, definitely not a great start from Tales. He was collided with it a few times up in towards turn 1, lap 1. But the main question now is Knuf and that train behind able to remain in the DRS of the 2 leaders? Will Murdoch and El Mateo working together, going through Parabolica right now, but trying to gap the whole field. The gap was 1 second, but then with just a small DRS, he was able to get it fully back in. Will Murdoch likely to go retake the lead right now. Again, the DRS swapping is needed to the absolute extreme. And look at the gap now. It is gaining and back towards 9/10 of a second, whilst Will Murdoch does take over that leading position. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, not a lot happening. Ian trying to go around the outside. Oh, there goes a Mercedes straight on. That is Zorzo way too late onto the brakes and has to go straight on in turn number 1, getting a 3-second instant time penalty as well. So likely happened the same thing as Diogo Silva last time round. But Fede keeping that position from Ian Van Unen. But the biggest loser at that moment is Zorzo, losing a whole lot of positions and his championship position looking worse and worse.
Yeah, not good there by Zorzo. The 2 Mercedes were the fast starters, maybe, in this season. From a constructors' standings perspective, they are still doing well, mind you. They are in the lead of the championship, of course, but that gap is only 4 points over Aston Martin. and both of them are being beaten. Covers early pit stop. He's gone for a set of the medium compounded tyres. I'm not sure if there was a change of a front wing maybe there, or else he's gone for the extreme undercut. Could be a case of both, maybe, as he's come into the pit lane. Way too early here in this race for any plan strategy perspective. Maybe Max van der Geest gets past Skyline. Max now up to 4th here. Max is usually a man we see on an alternative strategy. Won his first ever PSGL F2 race in Italy. Was in Imola, however. That was, of course, last season where he got the job done. Here comes Matteo, though, back past William Murdoch for the race lead, and that's the Aston Martin up and through. AlphaTauri, of course, a team that's won twice at Monza. One as Toro Rosso in the hands of Sebastian Vettel, and the other as AlphaTauri with Pierre Gasly. So Will, certainly in a car that may be catered towards the Italian temple of speed. A little bit further back, this is the monster of a Red Bull. Of course, it is equal cars here, ladies and gentlemen, but you couldn't believe it is a monster of a Red Bull for sure, and he is on the back of Newt for 3rd. Newt, the ever so consistent man this season, once again finds himself in the podium placings time, and surely he's got to be happy with this.
Yeah, definitely. This is exactly what Knut needs to do championship-wise. Score consistent points over and over again. But he will be dropping outside of the podium range soon because Max, a little bit of the ERS burning there, but not going for the position this time round, forcing Knut to break a little bit later. Maybe then it was comfortable, but Max van der Geest outbrake himself nearly and making a little bit of a mistake there. I mean, not even a little bit, because Skyline is able to profit from it as well on the exit of Variante Ascari. So, yeah, and Max van der Geest now having to yield at the back of Curva Parabolica, losing that position there. It's not good for Max because it's the only one who's really made use of these soft tires, going back now up the inside of Skyline with an easy move. But let's just discuss quickly, because Dirk and Zane really have not made any progress on that soft set of tires, which is going to be interesting. A little bit of swapping again, innocent swapping down the field. Ian Van Unen, though, side by side with Fede, still keeping it side by side this time round, but the better exit out of turn 2 will be for the Alfa Romeo driver and the Italian. Of course, the nice and beautiful Italian flag on the rear wing of that Alfa Romeo, just being pretty as always. But Fede making up another position compared to the Alfa Tauri of Ian Van Unen. And the Alpha Tauris, I mean, if this was permanently, constructors-wise, they would be a very strong team as well. But unfortunately, Will Murdoch not really able to do as many races as he wants. But again, showing the talent that he has, because this certainly isn't his main game. And to be leading in the second highest level of a game that are so many players of, it is just certainly very, very impressive. Let's see Max van der Geest. Is he able to cut down the gap this time through Ascari? Again, the gap is a little bit too big, because I'm sure Max would like and absolutely love to bring himself up towards P1 or P2, fight for the win, and then once pit stops come, having to survive and fall back a little bit more, because you don't want to see yourself in towards P4, because you're going to have a worse tire in the second stint of the race, and you're just going to drop and lose time. No, we're going to likely see another swap, because Mateo on the DRS and having pretty much a full battery still, easily flies past Will Murdoch.
Yeah, it's going to be like this for pretty much the opening first stint. The pit stops is what's going to be the big the big question, the big separator for these guys. And we can see that Will Murdoch and Matteo both swapping and changing an awful lot. Will has driven up very consistent so far this race for a man who maybe not used to fighting at the front in levels like this. But this is a track, of course, he knows. This is one he's practiced many a time on Gran Turismo, in daily races, in other stuff, and it is one that he'll be used to. Maybe he knows the ins and outs of this track a little bit better than, say, Saudi Arabia or Las Vegas or something like that. But it is also a track that does require smooth steering. Smooth steering also is suited for a GT car. But let's not take away from Matteo here. He is just as quick as Will, as is the majority of these guys. They're all just as quick. We've got a DRS train as long as the River Nile down towards P15. The only two not currently in this train is Jacob Conius and Covers. That is because Covers is pit, but Covers has still taken 4 seconds out of the train since he made that pit stop, so keep an eye on Covers if safety cars, etc., play into his hands here. But we head on to the Rettifilio Tribune, the main straight here at Monza, down towards the Variante del Rettifilio. It's going to be Will Murdoch who gets the job done on Matteo once again, and he now leads the Italian Grand Prix. Will leading a good few laps here. It's probably the first laps he's led in PSGL for a couple of seasons now at this point.
be possible. Yeah, the amount of overtakes though are stagnating a little bit. Everyone's slowly settling in towards that race and somewhat either accepting the place that they are in or trying to save ERS to make some gains just before the pit stop phases do begin. Now, I did somewhat forget the exact lap times that people are pitting in, mainly because the race that I engineered in had 2 safety cars, so my strategy was twice thrown out of the window, and due to that, I did not win engineering-wise. Because driving-wise, I'm definitely not quick enough anymore. But Danielle, he is the one who's mainly trying to threaten an overtake. He's very close behind Skyline currently. And besides that, is really nothing happening. Besides the 2 leaders just constantly swapping, which is very interesting because IRL, if you had the 2 leaders just swapping constantly, all the focus would be on that. And F1 League Racing, oh yeah. I mean, the leaders are going to swap every time. I mean, it's a DRS rain, but this is an overtake that we would not expect. Danielle going up the inside of Skyline. I didn't mention it before, but out of Escari, certainly not a place that you would expect it all that much. And now Fede all the way at the back of the McLaren, using a little bit of ERS, and now the DRS will be going open as well, very close behind him. Now trying to go up the inside of Durette Filho, up the inside in turn number 1. Who's the latest on the brakes? It is Fede. He does pull a little. It's not the case, and he's able to remove this penalty. But otherwise, this will be a very painful penalty for him. But a 5-second penalty instead of a 3-second one for Skyline due to cutting the corner after collisions with Fede.
Well, he is going to have to serve it because he's got to make a pit stop. He hasn't made his mandatory one yet, so that's going to have to be served. Unlucky. Well, unlucky for Skyline for the one cutting the corner, but that was a bit of a weird incident between the McLaren and the Alfa Romeo. We will have to wait and see. Here comes Will Murdoch. Thought he was going to go for it in towards Ascari. Will right on the tail of the Aston Martin. Almost like he didn't want to gain as much. We've got 4 penalties here early on. That could be a factor later on in this one. It's 5 for Skyline that you just saw, and then 3 for Dirk, Zorzo, and Diogo Silva. And then strategy, of course, very mixed as well here. We've got many on the hards. We've got a couple on the mediums and a couple on the softs. So be interesting to see how this one plays out. Here comes Will Murdoch, though, for the race lead once again. Matteo took it on the last lap. Will take it on this one, and he is up and ahead. Poor Newt, not made an overtake in a while. I'm sure he wishes he could get on a bit of this action. However, his teammate Phil certainly is in on the action here. They're 2 abreast in towards the first corner, and that's a little bit wide for Dirk. Dirk then pushes Fede around, and now Phil's not going to get the traction on the pair of the Alfa Romeos. Actually hits the front of it there, so he's not going to be able to get the traction too much. He'll have to just play his cards cool here and just keep himself composed. Nope, forget that. These guys are Grand Prix racers. To the outside goes Phil in towards the Verante del La Roggia. Is he going to make this one stick? No, has to sit behind. And Fede picking up a 3-second time penalty as well. That's one of the 2 Alfa Romeos you're seeing. They're 2 abreast here in the background as well. That's Zorzo getting past Tales. This is magnificent action here in Monza. Lap 10 at 27. This is a cracker.
It certainly is, and a big shame for Fede, his race, because he was doing so well. Just a small contact and now picking up a penalty, pretty much ruining all of his chances of getting a win there. And then again, making a mistake in Ascari, going a little bit wide there. I think he's just a little bit mad at himself for making that mistake, because I do believe at that instant he did lock and go wide, missed the apex, and then just made contact, and everything went from that moment onwards. Now, we are slowly getting towards a period that drivers will be starting to think about pit stops. Of course, Kova's the only person who's currently made that pit stop, but it was because of our wing change. But there we go, Zane, first person in towards that pit lane, getting rid of those soft tires and then equipping likely the mediums, although the hards are certainly not a bad race tire either, but it are indeed the yellow wool tires, the medium compounds, and Zane will be continuing from this moment onwards. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but there's one man, Evan, I really feel bad for. It is Jacob Conias. Just about dropping outside of the DRS range, and it was 1 second, and just every single lap you lose and lose and lose time because of that DRS range. He's already 4.2 seconds behind. It just shows how ridiculously strong ERS, DRS, slipstream, everything is. When you're not inside of it, you will be suffering.
Yeah, it goes to show how powerful the slipstream and DRS can be, but it'll be a little bit bittersweet for Jacob that no, it won't be bittersweet at all, it'll be horrible. But the driver that he replaced is currently second here in this Grand Prix and swapping and changing for the race lead. Will and Matteo here, Tymon, if you were in, say, Will's position, what would you do strategy-wise? Because they're both in the same tyre. would you try pit first or go long in this one?
Undercut is
Oh,
very
hold on a second. Here comes Newt. Newt is going for the race lead. They're three abreast in towards the first corner. Newt in the rocket ship of an Alpine trying to go from third to first. Wasn't able to take the race lead off Will Murdoch, but he's got past Matteo. And this swapping and changing up the front is now a 3-car fight here at Monza. Wow, Newt came out of nowhere there. Burned a little bit of the battery. Still has plenty of it in hand. Decided that he wanted to get involved. He was a little bit bored, just like we predicted. Now the championship leader is up to second and ahead of Matteo.
Certainly wasn't bored the first time. Well, he wasn't doing all that much. It's because he had to gain a lot of ERS or burn a lot of ERS at the first race. I thought Corvus had crashed somewhere, but it is in the pit lane, just simply retiring the car. But Knut was regenerating his ERS. He was finally back up towards a full battery and decided to use it and get himself fully back in towards that race. And he's doing that because it is getting time to make that pit stop. And I don't really have to answer my question because it will be automatically time for it to be answered. Lobio's leaving. Let's hope it doesn't cause any permanent glitches there. It is always interesting and just a shame that happens. But once more, a situation of Covers either losing his head, making a mistake, or giving up early, costing him a big chance at that championship. He certainly has the pace for it, but again, first DNF is his name on it. Will Murdoch, though, baiting, dummying, going into the pit lane. Did he get any reactions? Yes, he did. Max van der Gies is in, and Danielle follows in as well. Besides that, we do not really have any early pit stops, so the two early guys going in towards a pit lane, Danielle and Max van der Gies. They were very close towards each other, so they're able to help each other on that outlap and hopefully for them make some nice big gains. We saw the undercut working last time round. Austria, we saw Covas and Diogo Silva making that big gap, which allowed them to just fight it out for the race win. Can they do the same this time round? This time, Max and Danielle would wish and hope that situation will occur again. Meanwhile, Zane has fully caught up towards the back of that train as well, going a little bit deep inside of turn 2, which allows Dirk to get a nice switchback, but nothing happening with that. And now we do want to see all of the leaders pit, and I wonder if all three of those are going to enter the pit lane right here, right now, because P4 and P5 did enter the pit lane. So if they stay out for one more lap, they are guaranteed to be undercut and lose a lot of time. So let's see what they'll do. I predict that they're all three going to go in. What do you think?
I think they should. I think they certainly should, because what we are seeing here is the tyres are all relatively equal. So if they pit for the mediums now, they should be good until the end of the race. But let's wait and see. Rounding through Parabolica, who comes in, who stays out? Newt looks like he's committing towards the pit lane, so is Will Murdoch, and Matteo carries on. So Matteo is the outlier. Ian Van Unen, of course, has to carry on because his teammate pulled into the pit lane, and you want to avoid a double stack at all costs. It's mediums for Newt. We see him pulling into his Alpine pit box. Will Murdoch is going to go for a set of the mediums as well, of course. Max van der Giest, however, rounds through the Curva Alboreto. He has Danielle right behind him. Danielle is going to take this spot off Max van der Giest, but more importantly, where do these guys come out in relation to Will Murdoch and Newt? Here they are. They're going to get up to speed. Here comes Danielle soaring. He's past Murdoch. Danielle is past Will Murdoch. Is he past Newt? Newt breaks for the first corner. Danielle is just behind. Will has 2 cars in between himself and the man he was merely tenths of a second behind. That's how powerful your clutch release, your pit stop turn in, your braking for the pit lane, and most importantly, your in and out lap are here in PSGL F2. Newt, your provisional race leader for now. He's got these mediums set to temperature probably by now. However, Danielle could soar past him on the main straight. But more importantly here, Matteo, the man who took pole, the home hero, the main character potentially in this event, is going to fall well behind here because he's simply going to be undercut by an enormous amount of drivers. Let's wait and see, though. He's going to come into the pit lane this lap, is he? Or is he going to carry on? No, Matteo comes in this lap. He's going to try something different. So does Ian Van Unen. Got to feel sorry a little bit for Ian that his teammate was performing so well, because he didn't really have a choice on the strategy front. Fede and Tales are going to carry, or Fede and Phil, apologies, are going to carry on. Tales is going to carry on as well. Tales has actually gone past a pair of them. That's a double move on the main straight for Tales, similar to what we saw Newt try a few laps ago. Here is Ian Van Unen and Matteo. Matteo trundling out of pit lane on pit speed limit. Max van der Giest sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. He actually got past Danielle. Now Max van der Giest leads. There is Matteo coming out of the pit lane. Zane gets past. Is Dirk even going to get past? Dirk does get past. Matteo is 11th place. From the lead, he has fallen to 11th in the Italian Grand Prix.
Yeah, but I do not really. I don't think it will matter all that much. The two guys ahead of him are a lot older tires, so he'll certainly be able to catch back up towards that train. He just needs to make sure that he does not get dropped from the big train itself, because Ian Van Unen currently being on 910s, that is his big worry. You can be on such quick tires, but you can't compete with a DRS train. Yeah, you should just write that down somewhere in the one of the holy notes of F1 commentary. If you're not in the in the DRS train, you're simply do not have an opportunity anymore to really win that race. But Will Murdoch, though, although he has dropped a little bit further behind, he is also still very much in that opportunity to win this race, because he does have fresher or equally fresh tires as everyone around him. So he'll be able to make those jumps right back. Max van der Gies, of course, taking that lead, but he will be losing it very soon on this lap compared to Knuf. And all of the drivers that are staying out are as following. It is Johan, Thales, Fede, and Phil. Of course, those are only medium or hard runners. It's going to be interesting to see what Thales and Fede are going to do. Maybe some team games for Fede to try to help out Zane. But we will see about that later on.
Oh, Danielle!
Outside of turn 1, way too late on the brakes and has to cut the corner. Yield goes straight on and get a 3-second time penalty as well. This penalty will likely be removed, so we have to keep that in mind. But it is definitely not what Danielle wanted, losing out on a lot of positions there. And Will Murdoch now getting a free position, certainly what he wanted. One less overtake to make and less ERS to burn. And now we have to just look behind once more. Mateo and Ian Van Unen, they are surely going to be flying through this pack very, very shortly. Whilst there are 11 more laps to go, pretty much everything can still happen. And don't forget, if something happens and we do be getting a safety car, do not rule out this top 4, because they're all simply very much chilling. Now going around the outside, though, of turn number 9 is going to be Matteo, preparing now for Ascari, but making an easy move up the inside or around the outside of Zane and having the overtake fully done before the corner even starts. Now going up the outside again of Dirk. Very easy move, a little bit of teamwork there, because they are teammates and they are actually allowed to do so. Ian Van Unen going past Zane as well. Zane struggling on those 5-lap old mediums, has done an undercut multiple times before and always ends up struggling on those tires. Meanwhile, the top 4 are in as well, all going towards a set of softs or mediums. Ian Van Unen again making a move past Dirk as well. So it just shows how easy you are able to overtake with that tire gap and age difference. Max van der Gies now meanwhile going back up the inside of Knuf up in turn number 1, and a little bit of fighting behind there. It is Amateo and Danielle side by side, but nothing really happening besides that. And now Ian trying to profit from it as well, going up towards turn number 4, Variante della Roccia, but again not all that much happening, and Ian Van Unen not having the ERS to really fight with them. And Danielle having a 3-second penalty, of course, knowing that it can be removed, still is very much far from ideal for him, and he remains in P4 for a while.
Yeah, Matteo's on a warpath, wants to win in his own backyard here at the Italian Grand Prix. If you're just joining us, you have missed the corker, but we're going to have an even better ending here in Monza. If you're enjoying the action, you've been with us for the whole duration. Whole duration of the broadcast. Make sure to pop a subscription on the YouTube channel. Check out all our social channels. Byron doing a great job on the socials these days, so make sure to go check out them. But here we go. One thing as well, for those who didn't do the undercut and say we're jumped, so Newt, Will, Matteo, they do have a lot more ERS because they weren't burning it on their outlaps. They were still in the train. So Will also has a lot of ERS, almost a full tank there. You can see in the steering wheel. Newt not as much, but Max also has a good bit. But here comes Will Murdoch. Matteo in the background looking to make some moves on Matteo as well. Will tucks into the slipstream and Newt. Newt's going to go for the race lead here, though. Is Will going to try profit off it as well? It's last of the late breakers from the brilliant Briton of Will Murdoch. Trying it round the outside now. Doesn't want to get forced on the grass here. Is just going to let him through, because that could have been a risky one. Potential race ruining one. Matteo got past Danielle in the background as well, but Danielle is coming back. It's the two Italians round the outside of each other for the Curva Grande. Now it looks like Ian Van Unen trying to get involved in this one, braking for the chicane, and there's a Red Bull round. Max van der Gies is spun by Will Murdoch. Not too sure what happened there. Looked like it was just a bit of side pod racing, but look at this. Newt, go, go, go. He's got a 1.1 second gap. If you can drop Will Murdoch from DRS here, you will be able to potentially go on and win the Italian Grand Prix, but Will does have that battery advantage. He can use some of that, and I don't think Newt is going to get out of DRS, but this is dramatic. This is very, very dramatic here at the Italian Grand Prix.
Dramatic certainly is the word to use there, but Knut unable to get out of that DRS gap, especially knowing that Armateo is behind on a fresher set of tires, and he will be the big scare for Knut later on in this race. But a little bit of contact between Will Murdoch and Max van der Gies, unfortunately spinning Max van der Gies fully around, and maybe this race will be decided at the end of the race in the steward's room. But for now, let's see what happens. It's going to be a big close up towards a gap from Will Murdoch compared to Knut, and again showing how just simply strong the DRS and the slipstream really is. Need to make sure that he doesn't not outbrake himself here, but Ian Van Unum was still stuck behind the back of Daniel, tried to profit from it, but whilst all that chaos was happening, he could not really do all that much about it. Just now waiting to see when his opportunity will arrive to strike. And meanwhile, let's just pay attention, because Dirk, he has got a little bit all the tires as well, but he is on an absolutely brilliant strategy. He was on the softs, not really getting anywhere, and he's now settled in towards P6 with a little bit of all the tires. But if he can just maintain himself in towards that train, I think that he has driven a pretty successful race.
Just up at the front here, of course, it is storylines all over the board. Newt going for his first win in 4 seasons. Will going for his first win probably in 4 seasons in his first league race back since, of course, the Gran Turismo World Series. Matteo is looking for a win of his home Grand Prix. Danielle the same, and then Ian Van Unen is looking for redemption from his early wheel issues at the start of the season. But this is going to be highly dramatic, highly anticipated, and it's going to be a high display of racecraft and skill, hopefully, towards the end of this Grand Prix. But here we go. Murdoch tucked into the slipstream and Newt. Is this the chance for Will to lead this Italian Grand Prix once again? They go weaving a little bit down the straight, but Newt knows that there's no defence for pure straight line speed. A man who has a very famous name here at this track. Oh, apologies for that. We'll get back to that in a second, because Newt has just sold Will, and he's gone the switchback. That's a brilliant manoeuvre from Newt to keep the race lead. Will, way too committed into that corner. Broke too late, but he's going to come back at him. Here in towards the Verante della Roggia. It's Murdoch on the inside. It's Newt on the outside. Braking for the left and right. Will Murdoch leads the Italian Grand Prix once again. But what I was going to say, it's a race that Enzo Ferrari would be proud of. His famous saying, of course, aerodynamicists don't know how to build engines. And certainly we've had a pure showcase of straight line speed, bit of a wobble heading through Lesmo 2 for Will, but he's kept the car under control. Newt could go with the race lead once again, heading in towards Ascari chicane. He has. Lap 20 out of 27, this is going to be a close one to the end.
Yes, certainly the race leaders do be having to keep swapping all the time, because if they do not swap, then they got Armateo right on the backs wanting to make a move as soon as possible now again as well. But going side by side to Pelabrotica certainly is not the opportunity to defend and now make sure that they won't be overtaken here, because Will Murdoch does it somewhat smart, because he knows he's now not going to be the one who's going to be in trouble. It will be Knut, because here we go. The ERS is going to be on for Armateo. Squeezed up the inside, unable to go for it now. But in trouble here. There, it is Will Murdoch who's going to be in trouble, because Knut now takes the lead. Armateo into second, Danielle even in third. Will Murdoch there losing a whole lot of position, breaking a little bit later, trying to take that position back from Danielle, turning in there, a little bit of contact there, but not all that much happening. And Danielle up in towards P3, but still side by side now, going up towards turn number 3 and up towards turn 4 and 5 into Variante della Roggia, but he does have to yield off Danielle, taking that position for P3, and Knut now still in the lead, but he does have the quicker and fresher tires of Armateo behind. And meanwhile, we still got Ian Van Unen on the same tire age as Armateo, chilling and being always there. So whenever something happens, you don't really want to rule him out. 6 more laps to go, and it seems like this top 5, every single person in there could still win. But wait, who's that? Johan on 4-lap old softs has now arrived into this DRS train. I fully forgot he was still in this race. He's on 4-lap old softs. We may get an entire new twist to this race.
The twist isn't even here. Sorry, bad pun. This is like a NAS. This is like the Daytona 500. How much swapping we're seeing on the race. I'm a big IndyCar fan, so this is giving me nice throwbacks from what's been a bitter off-season. But we're seeing so many swap and changes on the main straight. And we're going to see it again here. Matteo tucks into the slipstream. He wants to lead the Italian Grand Prix. Once again, he will lead the Italian Grand Prix. Once again, Danielle wants to lead the Italian Grand Prix again here. Up the inside goes Danielle. Is he able to get the pair of them? Newt now trying to defend second position. Newt was in the race lead coming onto this main straight. He's trying to defend second position. position. Little bit of a nudge between the pairing. Danielle now on the inside for the Curva Grande. Will Murdoch looking for the outside as well. These guys have got to be careful because Matteo's gone. Matteo's gone at the front, almost pulling a second. They got to be careful heading in towards the chicane. It's Newt, Danielle, Murdoch in towards the left-hander, and that's the way it'll stay, heading in towards the middle sector. And they've got to be really careful here because Matteo has a bucket load of battery and he's looking to pull out in 1 second. Newt has got to get a hurry on. Newt has got to get a hurry on. This is ASAP. Newt has not got DRS for the back straight. Matteo has dropped the train on his first attempt at it. If Newt is not able to get within that DRS, or Danielle isn't, this could be curtains.
Yeah, that was absolutely crucial. 3 wide down there. They are all fighting for one position, but they forget the most important thing, and that is a race win, because they have just let it slip out of their hands. It is now 1.5 seconds, and of course they're going to swap on the main straight, but it will not be enough. 1.7 is the gap already. Amateo burning through half of his battery, but that's exactly what he should be doing, and now using the rest of the battery to maintain the gap and absolutely control it. The lead is all given up. I think Amateo will be your race winner, but for now the battle continues for P2. Danielle and Knut fighting with each other. Knut yielding back off to let Danielle through, and Ian van Unen finally making his moves as well. And there's a car back round. It is Johan. 4-lap old or 6-lap old soft tires. The best tires in the grid with the best position, and just throw that out the window. Softs is no longer a risk. Johan went round, and there is his run and race done and over.
I can't believe how much Matteo's pulling. He's like a man possessed. This is national pride at stake here, and Matteo wants every last piece of it. Danielle, well, he's not going to catch at this point. He simply isn't. This is the train now for second. Matteo has gone and wants a second win of the season. Incredible. Here in Monza, absolutely incredible. Newt is tucked into the slipstream of Danielle. Newt has just lost all sense of pace here. He seems to be struggling with something. Maybe a bit of damage on the car even. I'm not really entirely too sure what's happened to Newt, but certainly not running the same. It goes to show that Matteo's strategy worked perfectly here, because he's on better tyres than the two directly behind him, not necessarily the rest of the field, but the two directly behind him. And it's paid off. 2.8 seconds. Here comes Van Unen. Gonna pass Newt. Wants back on the podium once again. Does the Dutchman? Does Will Murdoch also want back in the podium? We'll have to wait and see. Van Unen's gone from 4th to 2nd down the main straight. Once again, a display of pure slipstream and straight line speed in these Formula 1 cars. They're not known for being loud and boisterous sounding machines, but they're as quick as ever. Will Murdoch on the outside now. The Curva Grande gets the job done on Danielle. He's going to go for it on Newt as well. I don't think he's close enough to go for a last of the late breakers into the Della Roggia. No, he is not, and he's going to have to sit behind. Car gone straight on. Tales, Brazilian, has gone straight on here at the Della Roggia chicane. He's got a 3 seconds for corner cutting, and he has taken the correct escape road, but not too sure what Krypton and the stewards team will think of that one. Tales, unfortunately, going to lose a few spaces because of those penalties now. But, Timon, Matteo's gone up the front. This one's sorted if he doesn't make a mistake.
Yeah, I think Amateo certainly has the biggest opportunity to win, and my race prediction, currently sitting in P2, so just like last week, I think next week you're going to have to ask me who finishes in P2. But that's only for next week, because now we've got 3 more laps of absolutely amazing racing going on, and Ian van Unen is able to pull away, get a nice gap, and then Knut is able to get it all back onto what's his big straight. But Will Murdoch going up the inside already, trying to make that move happen as soon as possible. He doesn't have any slipstream, is forced to drop back there. Meanwhile, Danielle and Talas also fighting a little bit with each other, just scrapping back and forth. Knut meanwhile going back in towards the lead, braking later, going around the outside and easily grabbing that position. Talas and Danielle still side by side, but Talas has to yield back in towards turn number 1. And besides that, it's going to be interesting, because Phil on the soft is certainly going to be too late to have a really big impact still on this train. And I think Johan will just absolutely still be kicking himself for making that contact. I don't know if it was his fault or something else, but if he just didn't make that contact, he certainly would have been right at the front of this train and would have been fighting for a really, really nice position. Both Red Bulls got up in contact in turn 1 and ending their potential chances at a very good result.
Yeah, they were on a good strategy, really good strategy, but Red Bull's woes grow greater. They only have 1 podium this season, and they sit 7th in the Constructors' standings with just 21 points, which is very disappointing for Max and Johan. Red Bull, of course, last season finished 9th in the Constructors' standings, so they're not really I suppose, improving, if you want to say. They're not really necessarily improving, which is rather disappointing for them. But Vanoonen, is he able to get the job done? No, he isn't. Tucks into the slipstream once again at the Alpine, heading on towards the back straight. Will Murdoch as well, still in this fight for the podium. He has a good bit of battery in hand. And we can see now how it's not as chaotic now that there's not Matteo in this slipstream fest. But here we go. Look at Danielle as well. Look at the inside. The two AlphaTauris looking to work together here to get the job done. They're not permanent teammates. Shizu Noel, the Hungarian, will be back in that car soon enough. But a great move from Will Murdoch gets the job done.
Will squeezing out Knuf a little bit there on the exit, but certainly doing exactly what's needed, and both the AlphaTauris now needing to work together. But it's going to be nearly 3 wide again, because Daniel is going to go for it up the inside of Valeriente Della Roccia, but still both AlphaTauris are side by side, just protecting it nice and wide. Just like, oh, it's a spinner behind her, actually. Zorzo's gone fully round, so again, his title chances are not being helped with this, but the main title contender, Knuf, still side by side with Danielle through the Lesbos there. It's Lesbos 2, breaking a little bit later, getting up a spin, but then get a spin. It is Danielle's gone together with Talos. Everything's happening at the same moment, same time. Both AlphaTauris now P2 and P3, and we don't need to forget that Matteo is just absolutely loving this. 5.3 seconds clear of everyone else. It is all chaos. Everything is happening at the same time. Phil has gone round. Zane has gone round. Zorzo coming back through now. It is only an 8-man lead for the front, but Johan, he's now fully pulled himself back in the chase. I said he was out of it. He was round a few laps ago. And he's
one lap ago. One lap ago, we were just talking about how Red Bull's woes get greater. They're now 5th and 7th in this Grand Prix. Here we go, last lap at Monza. The two AlphaTauris are in a world of their own in 2nd and 3rd. Ian and Will can just fight amongst themselves here. It's an Italian driver and 2 Italian cars. I say fight amongst themselves. Will's just nudged Ian in the back, heading in towards the 2nd corner. Danielle's going to retire from this one. It's an unfortunate day for him. Red Bull now 6th and 7th. Dirk got the job done there. Newt in 4th now. He's not even going to finish on the podium despite battling for the win for all day pretty much. He was in 3rd for most of the first stint. It's been swapping and changing throughout the course of this one, but there's going to be some stewards investigations maybe for the incident with Danielle and Thales, but we will wait and see come the next few days. Is Will able to burn his last bit of battery? They're both running on pretty much empty here, these two AlphaTauris, and I think Ian may come a cropper at Parabolica if Will can play his cards right. Look how late he breaks in towards this corner. The two AlphaTauris will wait and see as no Vanoonen gets a great exit, but rounding in towards Parabola, we cannot ignore the greatness of Matteo. He got his chance, he took his chance and soared at the front. Italy has a new league racing hero. Matteo wins in his own back garden. The Italian takes his 2nd win of the season in PSGL and wins at Monza. The Tifosi may not have had a Ferrari winner, but an Italian hero is the order of the day. It's 2 Italian cars, 2nd and 3rd. Vanoonen in 2nd, Murdoch in 3rd. Welcome back to a PSGL podium, both, and especially to Will, who gets a podium on his league racing return since a valiant effort at the Gran Turismo World Series. Newt then takes 4th, and after that I couldn't tell you because it all changed heading in towards Parabolic.
Wow, what an end of this race. Everything happening at the same time. Like in Formula 1, they make a highlight system out of this. How long would this highlight reel be? Like it would generally
10 minutes
be like
easily.
Yeah, I mean, easily, and we do like only half the race. Imagine if this was doubled. But let's just talk about the front, because Matteo, the man, the Italian, he's done it. A little bit of luck, and again, able to escape that DRS zone from that moment onwards, did not look backwards. Absolutely brilliant, brilliant, brilliant drive from him. Wow.
Yeah, fantastic. Brilliant, brilliant drive from Matteo and from all the drivers here on the top 5 results. It is Matteo who takes the win, followed by Ian Vanoonen in 2nd, a return to the podium and a return to the championship challenge for Ian Vanoonen. It's Will Murdoch then in 3rd, followed by Newt in 4th. Then it is Johan, Max, Dirk, Diogo, Zane, Phil, Zorzo. Then it is Jacob, Gonius, Thales, Danielle, Fede, and then Covers in 17th position, who retired early on. No safety cars in Monza, making your total race time 37 minutes, 34 seconds. That's really quick for league racing standards, really quick indeed. But we hopefully can get a handful of interviews. Maybe we can get one from Matteo, maybe we can get one from Will, maybe we could even get one from Ian Van Oonen. But Timon, are you back with us?
Yeah, certainly am. Yeah, having to swap rooms and then finding out your monitor's turned off is not the most ideal. Armateo will be joining us for interviews. Will Murdoch saying that Knut should have the interview because he's got a ban coming his way anyways.
Well,
I don't think we would mind having not Knut in this commentary booth once.
True.
Yeah, he's pretty much here every week. And P4 for him, again, in the standings is absolutely ideal and it's exactly what he wanted to see. I need to turn on my lights.
Don't worry, camera's not up. You can keep it off for a second. But yeah, hopefully we can hear from some of the top three. I would love to interview Newt, but I don't think we can do that until the stewards decide. But Will saying that he has a penalty. But we are going to hear from our race winner, Matteo. Let's bring him in. Hello, Matteo. Can you hear us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. You're an Italian Grand Prix winner, my friend. What a brilliant drive in the end. Once you broke the DRS train, it was curtains. How did you manage to break what was such a strong DRS train?
To be honest, I just managed this race overall in a really good way. Also thanks to my engineer Bas, which I gotta thank because we decided to go one lap longer than anyone else basically. And yeah, in the end, I think that paid off well because when Knut got attacked from another driver, I was able to break the DRS and then keep that gap and basically extend it till the finish line.
And of course, that is your second win of the season, which puts you in a very good place championship-wise. I don't believe you do take the lead because of Newt getting a good result as well, but we head into Singapore next time out, and then, of course, we have Spain, America, Britain, and Bahrain. Championship-wise, are you able to win it from here on the back of such a good result?
Like I said in a previous interview, I think I can win the championship, and if I keep up doing these performances, I think I'm in a pretty good position. I think I am 3 points far from the lead now. So yeah, I just gotta keep doing what I did tonight, managing races well, staying out of danger, doing good qualies like tonight because finally got a pole position, and yeah, that's it.
Timon, any questions?
Yeah, I actually do. I genuinely want to know this. Pit stops, they arrived, and you had a few people, P4 and P5 at that moment, pitting, and then you just had the two in front of you pitting as well. Were you always thinking about doing an overcut, knowing how much better you will be at the final stage of the race? Or were you thinking, if one of them is going to stay out, I will be the one pitting? What were your thoughts during those pit stop phases?
Initially, I thought I had to pit the same in the same lap as they did, but then we said the pack behind was fighting. Newt and Will came out in that pack in that train, so we said why not? Let's just say what one more lap, get the fresher tire, even if it's not much, and yeah, that's it. But we knew we couldn't go for a long overcut because undercut here in Monza is just too. It's just too powerful. So yeah, in the end, I think our strategy was the perfect one today.
Matteo, thank you very much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. We're going to let you go now and celebrate your Italian Grand Prix victory. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, and it's coming home.
That's a British phrase he's just said. No, okay, bit confusing.
Oh, it's coming to Rome.
Oh. Okay.
It's a European, yeah, okay, football race. Yeah.
Okay, I'm Irish. I'm probably not legally allowed to talk about football. But anyways, now joining us to the interview, it is Will Murdoch who returns to the podium, provisionally at least, in PSGL. Will, a very exciting race. Great to have you back at the front of the field. DRS trains throughout, few incidents here and there. How did it go from your perspective?
Well, I've got a penalty coming my way. I know that. I absolutely killed Max. it wasn't like heavy contact. I just had Matteo and I think it was Daniele just side by side behind me and just got my ankles absolutely broken. And then went into Max, and as soon as that happened, I just sort of knew that the penalty was coming my way, so I just sat back for a little bit, and then like the last 2 or 3 laps, I just sort of last 2 or 3 laps, I started to move further towards the front, and then I didn't really want to go for an overtake on Ian at the second chicane. I think it was like last lap or second to last lap. But then I seen that there were like 3 wide behind me, so I just thought, oh, I'll just put my foot down and just hope that they crash. Luckily, they did. Because I think if that didn't happen, I think I could have easily been out the points. But yeah, I'm happy with my pace considering how little I play this game. And yeah, I'm just hoping for a good result at Miami, which is my only really good track. So that's what I'm looking forward to now.
Do you think a 1 second penalty is fair for your antics, or no? Am I not
No, I think a 5-second penalty would be fair. Either 3 or 5. I mean, I literally took Max out the race. He ended up 3 seconds behind me, so I think it's fair for me to get a penalty that puts me behind him.
That's usually how stewards do it, isn't it, Will? I presume you know what I'm getting the dig at.
Yes, I know exactly what you're on about. I feel like I have to be very. I feel like I have to make my voice sort of known about penalties nowadays after what happened at Barcelona. But yeah, a 1 second penalty wouldn't be enough for that. Funnily enough, but
you said you liked Miami. What do you like about that track? Because you're probably one of few.
I honestly don't know what I like about it. It just sort of works with my driving style. I feel like I can just throw it into corners a bit more compared to like other tracks. Like with Monza, I feel like you have to be very patient and use the throttle to rotate it. Whereas I feel like with Miami, you can sort of just brake a lot harder, and it sort of can reward the late braker a bit more. But yeah, I mean, it's literally the track that I do the most laps on. But fair enough, I don't do a lot of laps. I think I've only got about 25 hours on this game now. But yeah, I mean, I did the MOBA Cup yesterday, and my pace was really good. It was around about PC F2 pace. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll probably be. I think my entire season will be resting on that one race. But yeah, we'll wait and see.
Tarman, any questions?
Well, I mean, I hope for you that you do get called up as a reserve for Miami. Are you intending to race, though, in one of the other 2 races, which would be Singapore on between the 14th to the 18th of December and Spain?
Next week I'm not. I'm away from home. And Spain, I don't actually know what I'm doing, but I might race. We'll have to see what happens, but yeah, I'm hoping that there'll be enough people unavailable for Miami so that I can actually race. Otherwise, I will literally be absolutely fuming. But we'll just have to wait and see, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting big things from you now around Miami. Of course, we do know you as someone who can be very quick on GT games. And I do know that you have been dabbling into some iRacing streams as well. And I know that you do have that PC. When's your full switch coming?
Ooh, research. I love that.
Research. Honestly, until I take the most seasons in F2 title away from CC Brain, I don't see myself switching. I think my pace on PC would be around PSGL F3 or WOR. Can I talk about WOR in a PSGL server?
Oh,
Nah, there's not, man. They're all gone to F1 at this point, Will. It's fine. You can talk about it.
Yeah. Well, around about F2 or F3. And realistically, I just play this game for fun. If I'm good at the track, I'll be at the front. If I'm not good, then I'll probably be at the back. But yeah, honestly, I don't see a switch going from PlayStation to PC until maybe this time next year at the very small chance. But yeah, it's not in the picture at the moment.
Okay, well, that was all it for me.
Yeah, Will, thank you very much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. We'll let you get on with your evening. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard us mention it briefly in the interview with Matteo and Will. We head to Singapore next week, and then me and Thyman are off for Christmas holidays, as are the drivers. Then we head to Barcelona on January. Oh my goodness me, that text is small. January 8th, and then we head to Miami, Britain, and Bahrain to round out the season. We have an unbelievable championship that is almost heading to a conclusion, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you very much for joining us this evening. If you want to go watch F1, don't go anywhere. You'll be automatically redirected once we leave you with a final word from our title sponsors, GT and Mega. From myself, from Thyman alongside me, thank you very much once again for providing us with your viewership this evening. Have a good evening, stay safe, stay well, and we shall see you next time. Bye-bye.